There's a lot to get to.
Tons.
Do you have anything to say, though, before we get started?
About football or just in general?
I don't know. It could be anything.
It's mid-August. Everyone's clamoring for the NFL. I am as well. But let's enjoy the last 2 weeks of summer.
This is a man who just spit a bunch of Mentos that he chewed up into the trash can next to me. On that note,
this is like gum, it's
no, it's not. It's something that you swallow. Okay, the Rams worked out Aaron Donald for the second time this summer. On Sunday, the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year was listed as a player who, quote, tried out for the team, according to the NFL's Transaction Wire. I like that. You see him out there, you know what he can do, right? But I think the question is more about what this looks like long term, right? Donald inching closer to being a possibility. How would you look at this for how they manage him, Dan? Because they want to make sure he's ready down the stretch.
It's an organization, a team that is clearly has plans on playing 17 plus, certainly close to 20 games. So the wear and tear on the body and how much you're going to value that, I would imagine you're trying to get him up to as many snaps as you can per game in really November and December. If you look at the beginning of their schedule, there's a really tough stretch with that week 2, week 3, week 4 game, 3, 4, 5, which is at Denver, at Philly, Buffalo. And then after their bye week, you could play 7 straight playoff teams, starting with the Packers, obviously Kansas City, San Francisco divisional game, Dallas, and then there's those 2 games sandwiched around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so if I'm Sean McVay and the Rams, understanding 2 years since he's played, is it September, we're trying to get 10 to 15 meaningful snaps out of you, and as you go into the season, maybe that ramps up to 20 to 25. And then part of it is, what's his usage going to be? Is it first down defensive tackle? Is it passing game or passing situations defensive tackle? I think that's a little bit of a unknown and feeling out process.
Well, I'm just curious, when you think about Aaron Donald as a player, though, is he the type of guy who's going to be okay with being limited in some ways? Like, that's not really who he is. And I believe, maybe I'm silly here, but I believe he's pretty much at the same level play-wise or strength-wise that he was before.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a steep decline.
Right.
I don't think Aaron Donald's coming back to play football just to play football. It's not, I just want to get another season in. This is a championship caliber team. I want to be a part of a championship caliber team. One of the things that when I was with Sean McVay that I was immediately so taken aback with is he has such unbelievable leadership skills. And I would imagine this is a conversation that Sean McVay, Les Snead, their general manager, and Aaron Donald have had is, we understand that you want to come back week 1, play 70 snaps and be Aaron Donald of old. But we also understand the value of you being your very best when it's going to be needed the most. February 14th is the Super Bowl. That's a long, long way away. And so I think it's that conversation and communication of what's going to be best for him and the team. When Aaron Donald played offenses, so quarterbacks, their average throw depth would be 6 yards. So they're only throwing the ball 6 yards downfield. An average would be about 2.5 seconds holding on to the football. So if Aaron Donald is back, and obviously the addition of Myles Garrett, you're talking about a defensive line that quarterbacks are going to have one thing on their mind. Get it out of my hands, get it out of my hands, get it out of my hands. And so I think just for Chris Shula, their defensive coordinator, part of it is learning how to get Aaron Donald into the fold more so than how many reps we're going to play per game.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to maximize there. Now, if you think that we're having fun with this waiting game for Donald, check out the Instagram post that his wife made today on her IG story, making a joke at the Donald weekly pump faking the Rams on the potential return. I think she's having fun because I think he's coming back. So that makes sense. That to me, if you're a Rams fan, is a good sign.
I agree.
Let's go to some news out of Arizona. Cardinals rookie running back Jeremiah Love dealing with a high ankle sprain. On Saturday, their head coach Mike LaFleur said Love would miss this week, would be evaluated next week. The Cardinals hoping Love can be ready to play week 1 against the Chargers in LA. Sources telling our Adam Schefter that. So, Dan, if Love potentially misses time to start the year, how much does that affect this Arizona offense? We saw them use him a lot in the preseason.
Yeah, obviously significantly. When he was playing the other night, I'm not saying they're the same player, but there were moments when you watch him run and it looks like Adrian Peterson. Whoa. The size, the violence, the shiftiness, and the strength. And so this is an offense that's very young and talented. And then you add him to it, he was going to be a focal point of theirs. Obviously, the 2 receivers on the perimeter, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Wilson, good players, Trey McBride. But he was going to add a new element to this offense and kind of overcome maybe what might be an average at best offensive line. But I do think if you're Arizona, you're trying to be smart. You're aware that you're not going to be a contender this season when it comes to a playoff push. He's a huge part of your potential future once you get more talent around in the quarterback. So I think it'd be a significant loss when it comes to, what to look forward to and potential.
He's a bit of a bright spot.
Yeah, but Algier's a good player, so it's not like they don't have anybody behind him that can't have impact.
And Algier's been pretty solid when it comes to just being out there. He's missed just one game in 4 NFL seasons. We'll keep an eye, though, on Jeremiah Love. All right, let's stay in the NFC West. The defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks made their Pro Bowl cornerback Devin Witherspoon the highest-paid corner in NFL history over the weekend, handing him a 4-year, $132 million contract extension. Witherspoon now the highest-paid corner in the league. What makes him, Dan, just so special at his position, especially when you think about what opposing quarterbacks are keeping in mind when you got a lot for him out there on the defense?
3 players in one. 1, can he cover on the outside in the perimeter? Absolutely. 2, can he play safety, whether it's in a half-field safety or in the middle of the field and be a ball hawk? Absolutely. And then can he play that nickel or star position where he's in between, close to the football, but having to play coverage? Absolutely. You're getting 3 players in one, and that versatility is such a big deal. You can tackle on the outside. You can blitz. You're big and long enough that you can be utilized in those situations. You can cover in both man and zone. And from an offensive perspective, when you have to go against a defensive back that you don't really gather a ton of matchup advantage. Some premier receivers might have that, but you don't gather a ton of matchup advantage. Your length and range deep in the middle half or middle of the field is a big deal. And then his ability to pressure, but not only pressure, but kind of have a screening to the throw is a big deal. So he's one of the best defensive players in football right now.
All right, so I realize everyone's enjoying this podcast that we're doing here, but we're going to upgrade it a little bit. We had some technical issues with Mina Kimes. She is now joining us. Welcome to the show, Mina. We get to start you out talking about
upgrade.
Well, that was, because common sense. Okay, Devin Witherspoon, Mina, what do you think about him and really why he could be deserving of that highest paid corner spot in the NFL?
Dan hit it when he talked about how complete his game is and his versatility, and it's so important to what this Super Bowl winning Seattle defense did, which is their ability to defend the run from sub packages when teams put big bodies on the field. In order to do that, you have to have players at all 3 levels who can tackle, who are willing tacklers. And Witherspoon is exactly that. Also, thinking about many of the offensive trends right now, teams getting into those condensed formations. Again, having corners who can tackle like Witherspoon can is so significant. He is the only cornerback in the NFL who ranks both top 10 in coverage DVOA and yards per carry on run tackles. The completeness of his game is what makes him so special, as well as, and Dan touched on this too, the inside-out versatility from a matchup perspective allows Seattle to move him around depending on who their opponents are and what their opponents are doing with their wide receiver ones. Just everything they could have hoped for and more when they drafted him 5th overall, and not surprising that they got this deal done.
Yeah, they've done such a good job drafting. $101 million guaranteed. Really fast, guys. I now am thinking about what our podcast name